Hello everyone and welcome to another How Good Is or Are today the Azalea Trio. I know they're called Konoha&Hazuki, but it's kind of a trio unit. Or you could say that this unit is Konoha and Hazuki, and then in brackets featuring Ayame. But yeah, it's kind of the whole Azalea Trio as one unit. People were wondering about the trio unit, and they kind of made it, but also didn't make it because only Konoha and Hazuki are only standing on the tile. Whatever, doesn't matter. So they're a forest type, a forest Y because their flowers get it. Who are an Excel Gorilla Magia type with the second highest attack stat in the entire game. That's fucking good. That's pretty good, isn't it? As you might be able to tell, their defense and HP aren't the best because of that. But that's alright, because nowadays we live in an age in Mega Record where defenses don't really matter too much because either enemies die really fucking fast, or we have so many other tools available to keep ourselves alive that pure stats don't really need to keep us alive anymore. So yeah, nowadays defenses aren't really that important anymore because we, like I said, we either stay alive other way or we just kill enemies really fast. So because of that, them having so much attack is pretty darn awesome. I'm also gonna make a quick mention of the personal, because the personal is gonna come in handy in just a little bit. It gives XLMP gain up 20% for 3 turns, as well as Magia damage up 17.5% for 3 turns, which is basically a better Mayu personal, who basically has the same personal, but a little bit worse. And Mayu is one of the best Magia characters in the entire game. At least like effects wise. Anyway, so yeah, it's pretty darn good. 3 turns means that you can probably like use this on the turn that you use a Doppel, and then you have the Doppel turn itself and a turn after that to just get to Doppel again, and then hopefully on the 3rd turn you are able to use another Doppel, so you're able to make use of the Magia damage up twice, and the XLMP gain up will help you get there. So yeah, that's a pretty good Memoria, definitely one that you should use on them because it's a really strong effect. Moving on though, the Connect is regenerate HP, which doesn't really matter. I mean, it might as well be an empty effect. But what else does it do? Attack up is okay. XLMP gain up 50%, which is great because you're gonna play them on a Magia team, right? They're a Magia team. You're gonna probably connect an Excel disc from them onto someone else. So them having XLMP gain up is great. But it's also nothing special. That's a very standard connect, I would say. The ability of this connect to heal is maybe something special that you don't see that often, together with these 2 other effects. But that said, it's not that amazing. It's alright. It's an alright connect. But this is of course not the end of this unit, because they also have, should we go to Spirit Enhancement? Let's go to Spirit Enhancement next. So they have a Spirit Enhancement, of course. And the one important thing that I want to point out is that they do have XLMP gain up. Not that it's special that they do have it, rather that there might have been some other somewhat recent Excel characters that didn't have this. The New Year's units. And yeah, so Udahan Ui, they didn't have this, and it was kind of terrible. But they do have it, and having it as baseline, but not having it would have been terrible. Anyway, point is they have an XLMP gain up, which you can kind of stack with this, of course. Moving on though about the rest of the Spirit Enhancement, also do. We have Poison Attack, we have Curse on Attack. 2 separate chances. The Poison lasts for 3 turns, the Curse lasts for 1 turn. There is something I have to say about all of these ailments a bit later. But for right now, because what I'm going to talk about the ailments is going to take a handful of minutes, I'm going to put that off till later, but for now, it's fine that they are able to make the enemy poison for multiple turns, that they're able to curse the enemy for a turn. Curse is a pretty strong effect. The fact that you have 2 separate chances to either poison or attack, maybe even if you're lucky both of them, means that it's a lot more likely. Like if you get a puller combo on this character, it's rather likely that at least one of those effects is going to be applied to the enemy, especially if you have other character or some other Memoria that applies like an ailment defense down, like aim resistance down on the enemy, then this chance goes up and would make it even more likely the enemy gets applied with one or even both of these ailments, which is pretty great, especially because they have 25% addict killer. 25%. That's a lot. It's basically a 25% damage up that should be active almost all the time. Like, you think of this might as well just read damage up 25%. And if this right here just read damage up 25%, you'd be like, oh my god, that's so absurd. That's so fucking strong, isn't it? Well, actually, it's not quite just damage up 25%. I'm not just saying that because the enemy, of course, needs to have an ailment first. But even if the enemy does have an ailment, this is worse than a damage up. And I'll tell you later, there's a bunch of stuff we need to talk about that usually I don't talk too much about on other videos. But with this character, it actually becomes rather important, especially going forward with the next Kimochi. What else do they have? Well, they have Anti-Magia Seal. They have... Actually, something I need to mention that also kind of becomes important with this character. When there's Magia damage up and Doppel damage up, if you're thinking about how the Magia damage up works, is of course, if you're using a Magia, you just get the Magia damage up. So all of these Magia damage up bonuses apply to your regular Magia, right? What if you use a Doppel? Well, if you use a Doppel, the regular Magia damage up bonuses still apply. You still get the Magia damage up bonus if you're using a Doppel. But on top of that, you also get the Doppel damage up. By the way, I calculated this. If you take all of these bonuses together, all the Magia damage, all the Magias up from here, from the active that I'm going to talk about in a second, from the personal as well, you actually get to like 52.5% Magia damage up. The cap is 100%, and you get 62.5% Doppel damage up, which is actually fucking absurd. This is some of the highest Magia damage up that you will see on a character that is only using their own skills, their own personal, their own passives. So yeah, this is fucking high damage on their Magia Doppel, which it should be their Magia type. There have been a bunch of Magias that I know in this game that don't actually have good Magias. It kind of makes me scratch my head. Rather, Magia types that have bad Magia. These are not that. These are actually having a good Magia. But yeah, about the active, it also gives Magia damage up, but it also gives even more added killer, 20% to everyone. And I know if you're looking at the last part of this active, this is actually the same active that Final Tart has. Final Tart has just the Magia damage up to all characters, 7.5%, which is terrible because she's a blast character and she doesn't play that well on a Magia team. So her having that is really weird. But this is on a Magia character, and it also has added killer for everyone. So yeah, really good active if you are playing a Magia team that applies ailments to enemies. Not just because for this character it's good to have these effects, but if you're having other characters on your team that also use Magia, that also play off of added killer because the enemy has ailments on them, is a really cool effect to have. So yeah, this is overall a pretty decent active, really nice to have. Okay, now though, about the big star of the show, the Doppel. Okay, the Magia. The Magia is... You're not going to use the Magia too often in this character. Why? Because the Doppel is so much better. Or just in general, the Doppel is kind of what you're aiming for with this character. But okay, let's talk about the Magia very quickly. It's an AoE Magia. It applies Curse, Burn, and Poison to all enemies, guaranteed. Of course, minus resistances and immunities. And it also gives yourself Forest Attribute Attack up only to self for 30%, which is fine for 3 turns, which is fine. Since your aim is going to be spamming this, because on one hand you want to make use of this Memoria right here multiple times, it's like the Magia damage up right here multiple times, so you're going to try to spam this. The XLMP gain up that you gain is also going to make it more likely to get to more Magia faster. So you probably will be able to stack this a little bit, but overall, what you're probably aiming for is the Doppel, right? So what the Doppel does is, as you can see, it has attribute strength and damage. The regular Magia does not have this. The regular Magia does not have attribute strength and damage, just regular damage, but the Doppel has attribute strength and damage, which means that, and I should also probably point this out again because it has been a really long time since the last talked about this. If you, for example, attack an enemy that is weak to your element, let's say, for example, you're a fire type and you attack a forest type, what just happens is all the damage that you deal is multiplied for 1.5. So it's like 50% bonus damage. You deal 50% bonus damage to an enemy that you are strong against. So if you're a fire type, you attack a forest type, you deal 50% more damage. If you use a Magia that is attribute strengthened, instead of dealing 50% bonus damage, all damage you do instead, or not instead, but also gets doubled. So it's another times multiplied by 2 at the end of everything, together with the plus 50% that we already have, meaning that at the end of all of this, you do not plus 50% more damage, you do 200% bonus damage. I checked it up quickly to make sure I wasn't saying any bullshit, but yeah, 200% bonus damage and 50%. Why is the times 1.5 gets doubled, which becomes times 3. Because 200% bonus damage. That's pretty fucking good. So yeah, it basically quadruples the damage bonus you get from weak element. This is kind of good. You know what's even better? If the enemy has an ailment on them that is at least level 2, so at least something like burn, curse, stun, bind, dazzle, darkness, those are all of them. Those are the ones that say that you have increased damage to weak element. For example, if you look at burn, it says a unit that affects blah 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 takes 80% more damage from the element it is weak against. Okay, if you have a status element that has it, which is like at least a level 2 status element, like burn, this also gets multiplied with the times 2 from the attribute strengthened. So if for example you use the Magia and the enemy is burning, so your normal damage bonus is plus 50%, which this, it's like another, the way it's handled I think is like a times 1.3 on no, times 1.2 on top of everything. That's like the way it's coded in game, I think. So I can't read them up, but right now it's like a times 1.5 times 1.2. I think it's like a times 1.8, like an 80% damage bonus. Basically what it says right here. Overall, it comes down to 80% more damage the element is weak against, instead of the 50% it's usually. So your 50% becomes an 80%, okay? But this damage bonus, once again, gets multiplied with a times 2 from the attribute strengthened. So, you know how I said earlier, if you do an attribute strengthened damage to the element you're strong against, instead of plus 50%, you do plus 200% bonus, the quadruple damage. If the enemy has that status ailment on them, that level 2 status ailment, that becomes a 260% damage bonus. That's a fucking lot. So it's more than 5 times as much damage bonus from element strength. Right? That's fucking absurd. And that is, by the way, if you're wondering how Kimochi explode, that's how Kimochi explode with billions of damage. Not billions of damage, but like the maximum damage you can do in one attack is 10 million per tile. So yeah, that's kind of absurd. So if the enemy has status ailment on them and you use this, they die. They just die. But it has to be an aqua enemy, because this is only all of the stuff that I've just said only applies if you're attacking the element that you are strong against, which in this case is water. You need to attack a water enemy, and then everything that I just said applies. What else does it do? Well, it still does the curse, burn, poison, and this is the important bit as well, like on top of the attribute strength and stuff, it does forced attribute attack up to self for 5 turns. Hey, look at that, 5 turns or 3 turns makes it even more easy to stack everything up. Now, I've talked a lot about how good the Doppel is with the attribute strength and damage, because that's kind of what you want to look for with this character. This unit rather. This unit is all about, you're gonna get to Magia really fast and you're gonna spam Magia. You and your friends are gonna roll up to that Kimochi, or just in general to any Aqua type enemy. You're gonna roll up and get all of that MP. You're gonna stack yourself up to 150 MP. You're gonna get that Doppel out. You're gonna do attribute strength damage. The enemy explodes. Okay. By the time you've built up your Magia, you've probably applied poison, probably even curse on the enemy. And if the enemy is cursed, guess what? Curse is a level 3 status ailment, meaning you get the bonus damage on top of this, like the 260% bonus damage, which is absolutely absurd. So the enemy just explodes. And if somehow the enemy doesn't explode, because maybe you're fighting a Kimochi or a really big boss, the enemy is then cursed, burned, poisoned for 3 turns, and you buff yourself for 5 turns, so you can do it again. You can do it again in like 2 turns, and guess what? If you do it again in 2 turns, you get another damage bonus from your personal that you have active. The Excel Hub also helps you gain more Magia, more Doppel, and you can absolutely shred enemies to pieces. You're gonna deal so much damage with Magia up, Magia up, Magia up, Doppel up, so much damage. Oh my god. So yeah, these guys make enemies disappear with Doppel spam. Enemies just go bloop when they Doppel spam. Okay, so far everything seems pretty darn fine. I'm gonna make a little tangent here and talk about the personal very quickly. So the personal, because the stuff I'm going to talk about in a bit also plays with this personal. So this personal also has added killer, 45%, not personal, sorry, it's Memoria. This is the Memoria that is in this event gacha. If you roll this gacha, you get this Memoria probably sometime in the gacha. 45% added killer at MLB, and dazzles an enemy for 1 turn. Dazzle is a level 3 status ailment, meaning you're once again getting the bonus damage on weak element, which is fantastic. And yeah, 45% added killer, this is great. This is overall pretty awesome Memoria if you're playing an added killer team. Like any added killer team will want to run this Memoria rather. And this Memoria is also pretty good even if it's not MLB, so this might be a Memoria that just have multiple of it, like without MLB, it's gonna be fine. Okay, but now that we've talked about all this added killer stuff, all this ailment stuff, and you're like, oh my god, ailments are going to be able to do so much damage. We have added killer, we have both the added killer, we have the at least level 2 stuff like here with burn and curse. Like, but of course, curse also has the damage bonus on here. Doesn't stack, by the way. If you have both burn and curse, you only get the damage bonus once, and you don't get the damage bonus twice. But yeah. So you get the damage bonus from having either of these or both of them. You get added killer bonuses, 25% right here. You get, oh my god, you get 45% or 40% from this one. Oh my god, there's so much damage, right? This is so much damage. This is such an amazing thing to have. But here's the thing, and this is the one thing that is gonna make it has made a lot of people really sad and a little bit angry. Maybe they're gonna change that because there's something weird about mechanics. The mechanics of the game are working against you with ailments. Why? I've mentioned this before, but this is actually, it usually wasn't that big of a deal, but now with the next Kimochi, the Waka Kimochi, specifically being tailored to be defeated with ailments, it actually kind of becomes really important. And with a bunch of added killer units being released, like specifically this one, it all becomes important. If you have an enemy, like a big boss that occupies multiple times, let's say for example you have fighting against a Kimochi, it occupies maybe the top left tile, the top right tile, the center tile, bottom left, bottom right. So you've got like 5 tiles in like this cross formation that are being occupied. You can blast through them or whatever. Diagonal blast hit 3, awesome. You can Magia all 5 of those tiles, awesome. The big problem that comes with ailments is that ailments only occupy the center tile. Only the center tile is afflicted with an ailment. If you have, like I said, that enemy with this 5 tile in this cross formation, and you throw ailments at that enemy, you use that Magia. I'm blind, can I see right now? Yeah, you use that Magia, you get these effects on that enemy. Those only apply to the center tile. Meaning that if, for example, you use a blast disc or the first column and you have addict killer. Is that addict killer? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you have addict killer. You don't deal bonus damage. You don't deal bonus damage. Those first 2 tiles are not afflicted with ailments. You also don't get the bonus damage from the level 2 or level 3 status ailment. You also don't get that because those 2 tiles are not afflicted by status ailments. Only the center tile counts. No matter how many tiles the enemy occupies, only the center tile counts. Meaning that if you've got this big AoE fuck off Magia with added strength from damage to all enemies, the enemy has got these ailments on them. You've got this, you got the added killer from here, you got the added killer from there. Only the center tile gets the damage bonus from added killer. Only the center tile gets the damage bonus from weak element, from like the weak element bonus from level 2 or level 3 status ailment. Which kind of means that the enemy, if only 1/5 of the enemy actually gets the damage bonus, then you could as well cynically say that added killer is actually kind of fucking terrible. And yeah, that's kind of the main problem with added killer right now, is that if you're fighting against a big boss with multi-tiles, then it kind of sucks. If you, of course, are fighting multiple enemies, let's say you have like 9 individual enemies and you apply ailments to all of them with this Magia, right? Then, of course, every single one of them is going to get hit with the added killer bonus. Every single one of them is going to get hit with the weak element bonus from level 2 level 3 status ailment. But if it's one boss with multiple tiles, only the center one counts. And that's so goddamn fucking stupid that I hope they fix it at some point. I think people have already like wrote angry emails to FRS years ago, because this has been in the game since the beginning of the game. It just never really was that big of a deal because Addict Killer wasn't really that big of a deal. Addict Killer wasn't that important. The weak element bonus wasn't that important too much. But now that they're actually making a Kimochi where it's really important, and a unit where it's actually really important, people get mad. People get mad. So yeah, hopefully they fix it. If they do fix it, this unit becomes a lot better. Like, if you want to invest in the future, if you believe that they will at some point fix this and make it that every tile counts as a flick with Stars Aimant, Konoha&Hazuki plus Ayame will become a way better unit. They will become such a better unit. So if you believe that they change that at some point, invest in this unit today. Otherwise, don't. Or yeah, actually you could still. This is really good. This is still, by the way, even with everything I just said, even with all these caveats, this is still probably the best anti-Aqua unit in the entire game. You won't find a better anti-Aqua unit in this game, most notably because they have so goddamn much Magia bonus with Attribute Strength and Doppel, which is fucking absurd. Something else to note, I've talked about this before though, so you probably don't know about this. If you have damage over time effects on someone, the maximum amount of damage an enemy can take per turn from damage over time effects is 10,000. And this is for all damage over time effects at once. Meaning that if, for example, just the poison itself already deals 10,000, then the enemy just takes 10,000 total, and the burn and curse do fucking nothing. Or better yet, let's say the enemy is cursed. If an enemy is cursed, they're probably gonna get hit by that 10,000 maximum damage they can take. Applying a burn to them is actually useless. Applying poison to them is actually useless and does nothing. You're already dealing the maximum damage. You can't deal any more damage per turn. That said, there's still something you can argue here that, okay, if you've got multiple ailments, let's say for example the enemy is immune to curse or immune to burn, or they have status ailment resistance, having multiple effects makes it more likely that the enemy is going to get inflicted with at least one of them, which, sure, I guess because it makes it more likely the enemy is going to get hit by at least one of them, it's fine to have multiple. But do keep in mind that actually hitting an enemy with multiple of these is not going to be quite that amazing. Also, that said, the next Kimochi that is coming up apparently has a mechanic where the more status ailment it has, the more damage it takes. So having multiple would actually make you deal more damage overall. So yeah, I guess for the Kimochi, but after the Kimochi, outside of the Kimochi, like, this is not gonna do too much, having multiple of these. But yeah, I talked for a really long time now because there was a bunch of stuff we needed to talk about the Stars Ailments. But yeah, that was it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.